Hey everyone, before we get this video started, keep in mind with the warning, since we are talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, it will contain a lot of flashing lights. There won't be any jump scare noises since I muted it out, but if you are susceptible to flashing lights, please be careful while watching this video. Probably look at something else while you just listen to the video. With all that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and please enjoy my first attempt at a retrospective on Five Nights at Freddy's. Wow, this is going to be a bit of a different video. Well, everybody, welcome to a, well, special topic today, because it is at last October. And what do people associate October with? Oh, Halloween is the obvious answer, but most people like to stick with horror. And no series is known for horror, ironically, more than Five Nights at Freddy's. A name that I'm sure everyone has heard of by this point. I'll honestly be surprised if anybody doesn't know what Five Nights at Freddy's is. Like, you look at one image and you can say, oh yeah, it's that series with the weird Chuck E. Cheese bear, right? Well, my initial plan was to actually do a review of Five Nights at Freddy's, you know, starting from the first game and going to all the games, where eventually I would talk about VR Help Wanted. Sort of a celebration before the latest game in the series comes out, Security Breach. For those of you who do not know, it's gonna be one of those videos. I'm doing it in one take, so even if I mess up, oh well. We have an hour to cover, folks. Like I was saying, if you don't know me, one thing that I am not good with is horror. I, for lack of a better word, am a coward when it comes to horror. Even if something isn't horror related, like, if you can get good suspension out of me, like, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen, you're anticipating a jump scare, and believe me, we'll get into that. Yeah, you can get me pretty easily. Even recording Five Nights at Freddy's 1 actually still got me. Nevertheless, I made it to the third game, about to make it to the fourth game, and I gave up. Bit of a personal story with that one as well, but one step at a time. But I still feel like I could talk about Five Nights at Freddy's for a couple reasons. One was that I played the games with friends of mine a long while ago. Another reason is I've been following the series through Let's Plays, through looking up the Wikipedias, for reasons I will later get into. First, let's get into what Five Nights at Freddy's is. Again, I know all of you probably know what it is, but just in case, you know, because this is a retrospective, we have to start from the very beginning. So the story starts with one Scott Cawthon, and Scott Cawthon was a game developer. Unfortunately, not a very successful game developer at the start. His latest game at the time, Chipper & Sons Lumberjack Corporation. I think that's a full title, but everyone knows it as Chipper & Sons. That game didn't do so well, and one of the main criticisms everyone gave was the characters looking scary, like something right out of Chuck E. Cheese, like an animatronic monstrosity. Scott didn't take the mixed reception well, so much to the point that he was really thinking about giving up on game developing altogether. But he figured he'd give it one more shot but he'd used the criticism to his advantage. And so, knowing that the animatronics looked scary, or at least they looked like animatronics anyway, he turned that into what we know today as Five Nights at Freddy's. This is an underdog story to the nth degree. Because of this one game that you're watching right now, his popularity skyrocketed into a multi-million-dollar franchise at this point. I'll be surprised if it isn't a billion-dollar franchise. I'm probably exaggerating there, but you can't deny the success this series has had. You know, there's a reason why there's 8 games going into 9 games. There's a reason why there's books about this. There's so many people on YouTube talking about it. There's a movie that may or may not be coming out at some point. I say that because I don't want to date this video that much. But I probably didn't mention Security Breach coming out. Oh well, what can you do? It's YouTube. All videos are outdated in a matter of seconds anyway. But yeah, what you're looking at right now is our good old Five Nights at Freddy's. I'll explain how the game works first. So most of this game are just still panoramic pictures. That's kind of the crazy thing about it. Aside from a few assets, almost everything you see are just still pictures, but they're used in a panoramic setting to create this tense atmosphere, because you are a security guard at a pizzeria chain known as Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. You work from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Unfortunately for you, the animatronics like to roam around at night, and if they see people, they think they're just endoskeletons outside of their suits. So if they see you, they're gonna shove you right into a suit, which is full of nuts, bolts, wires, and all this stuff. Basically, you're gonna die. So it's up to you to keep a watch of the animatronics, make sure they don't make it in your office, and survive 5 nights until 6 a.m. For its simplicity, it works really well. Again, I got a little nervous playing this game. You know, watching it and playing it are two completely different things. Because when you're in that playing mode, you know, you obviously don't want to die. And knowing the animatronics can be anywhere, anytime, you have to keep a focus on them. And, you know, honestly, it does sound rather easy, but there's one slight catch. Right there on the bottom left corner is your power percentage. Unfortunately, this place is limited on power each night. Run out of power, it's a blackout. And depending on your luck or not, it may lead to your demise. I think we see that later, actually. In any case, everything uses power. Checking the cameras uses power. Checking the lights on the doors to make sure anything's there. That takes power. Closing the doors in case the animatronic is there. That takes power. And if you use too much of it, well, you already know what I said. So, again, it is really this survival instinct. Because you can't leave this office whatsoever. You're stuck here. And knowing that things are coming your way makes it all the more stressful for you. Which I will still give the original game, because I played most of the other games. And I think the first one is still the best one. I'm not saying that because I'm an OG Freddy fan. No. The reason I say the original is the better is because the other games definitely try to complex things. Especially to the point of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which, I'll be honest, I still can't finish FNAF 2 on my own. Just because of everything it asks you to do. And even Five Nights at Freddy's 3, while it kind of keeps things simple, still complicates things to a point where it gets boring, but one step at a time. With Five Nights at Freddy's 1, it's simple. You gotta check the cameras. You gotta turn on the lights if any animatronics are near you. You gotta close the door if they are. The only complex thing is Pirate's Cove. That little curtained area you probably saw 10 times already. There's a hidden animatronic there, and if you're not checking Pirate's Cove, the animatronic will slowly come out. If it gets out of that closet, if you look at a specific camera, he'll rush right to you. And he could get in your office, and it will be game over if he does. Honestly, that's the only complex thing here. And I still like it. Keep in mind, I'm still able to finish the original Five Nights at Freddy's, and you'll see that through this retrospective while the footage is in the background. But another reason why people loved this game wasn't just because of the simplistic horror aesthetic, it was because of the lore. Five Nights at Freddy's is a series where it has a gigantic story. You just have to find the pieces, piece them together, and try to come to the conclusion of what the story is overall. Which is why I compare Five Nights at Freddy's to Kingdom Hearts, because as weird as this sounds, if you want the full story, you need to play every single Five Nights at Freddy's game, because all the games have details for this one gigantic story. It's crazy that I have to compare this game to Kingdom Hearts, but really, this is the Kingdom Hearts of horror. Especially starting with Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I'll get there soon enough as well. But going back to Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Oh, look at that, I did it. And there's a trophy, yay! Now you know I'm doing it on console for the first time. You know what? I completely forgot to mention this. I decided to purchase the Five Nights at Freddy's Core Collection on the PlayStation 4. It is actually a cute little bundle. Okay, I can't continue without saying this. Look at that. How... I shouldn't say continue, it's continue. And I did check, it's the same across the entire core collection. But yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's did make it to console. And the developers of the game actually put out a core collection physical copy. Where you Five Nights at Freddy's 1 to the 5th game, sister location, it's all there in one neat little package for you to download. The other games are there, but you'll have to download them off the digital store, specifically FNAF 6 and Ultimate Custom Night. VR Help Wanted, I believe, has a physical copy for the PlayStation 4. I know it has a physical copy for the Switch, because I do own Help Wanted on the Switch, physically. I'm pretty sure Security Watch, the PlayStation 5 game, I'm pretty sure that will have a physical copy as well. Just the fact that the series has physical copies and is on consoles should say a lot. But yeah, it comes with the trophy support. Most games have unlocks at the bottom should that opportunity arise, and it is useful if you want to experience the games, but if any of the unlocks are on, it disables the trophies. You won't be able to get any of the trophies. The trophies are pretty standard. There's one trophy for completing each night, nights 1 through 7. There's a trophy for game over, and some of the other games may have special trophies compared to them. But again, I stopped recording the review a while back, so I don't know if it's for FNAF 4 or beyond. For those wondering why I'm saying nights 1 through 7, well, it's called Five Nights at Freddy's. Why 7? Well, once you complete the 5th night, you're given a 6th night. And should you be able to finish night 6, you then get night 7, which night 7 is called Custom Night, where you're able to fiddle with the animatronics RNG. Yes, the animatronics are set to RNG each night, and it's kind of weird that it is, but that also leads to what many people consider the true challenge, 2020-2020 mode, or 420 mode, where you set the animatronics to the highest value and go for it. Very few people have been able to achieve it. I remember I was watching Markiplier, and when he did it, I was crying right alongside him, because I could feel the pain of him trying to push through it. All the more power to the guy. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. Oh, I got lucky there. I got really lucky there. I should have died. That should have been it. I was done. GG. Game over. But yeah, the reason why FNAF got so popular was because of the YouTube publicity, especially with Markiplier. You know, other people have played the game. PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, Smosh. But Markiplier was really the person who kickstarted everything because of his playthrough of it. In fact, I'm going to look right now how much it is. His views, anyway. Because, let me see. Yeah, at this point, it has 94 million views. I'll say that again. 94 million views. Like, holy crap. Like, dang. But yeah, that's how popular it became. And because of that, Scott found his inspiration and he went for it. Which is where FNAF 2 comes in. Honestly, one of my least favorite FNAF games. Let's get into that. So, I'll try to be posting pictures of FNAF 2 so you're able to see what I'm talking about. Yeah, me edit. Yay. So, Scott was able to tease about FNAF 2 on his website, which a lot of fans got a lot of speculation out of it, because it was these still images that really provoked what the game might entail, and we ate it up. We really ate it up. Then, of course, the game came out, and I still like it. So here's the deal. FNAF 2 is technically a prequel. I think it's like 5 years before FNAF 1 or something like that. New animatronics called toy animatronics are created with this security database. Unfortunately, though, they could roam around and they still see humans as an endoskeleton. But okay. So you don't have to worry about the entire building running out of power anymore. The only thing that runs out of power is your flashlight, which you will need if you want to illuminate dark areas. Because, for the most part, FNAF 2's location is dark. You can kind of see the shadows of everything, but unless you use a flashlight, you won't be able to see things like the animatronics clearly. Or maybe you can't stop them without the flashlight. Otherwise, you also have a Freddy Fazbear mask. You use this to hide your identity from the other animatronics. And if you're lucky enough, the Freddy mask will save you from the game over. The only one that isn't susceptible to this is Withered Foxy. Because he will see your... he will see through your disguise. I just remembered the Pimations clip of that. Oh my goodness, that video was hilarious. I need to see that again. In any case, you also had a music box to deal with, which was not fun. If that music box was not wound enough throughout the entire game, a special animatronic called the Puppet would slowly come out and eventually make it to your office. Yeah, this game had a lot to manage, and I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty difficult for me. I don't know why. It was much harder on PC, by the way, because you couldn't use a controller on PC. You had all these keys which did all these things, and you had to use a mouse to go over. I'm gonna be honest. I had a hard time keeping up. But yeah, it was the same thing. Survived 5 nights from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Then you had a 6th night, yeah. And then night 7, which was custom night. And then you had 10-20 mode. I am sure in my life I will never do 1020 mode. Major props to anyone who actually gets that done. But the reason why I don't completely hate FNAF 2 is because this was when the lore really kicked off. Back then, the biggest thing you had to worry about was the bite of 87, where an animatronic bit off a part of a kid's head. Yes, this actually happened. But FNAF 2 took it a bit deeper, where this child serial killer, which the fandom calls Purple Guy. I don't know about you, but that is the most amazing name for an antagonist ever, like Purple Guy. But yeah, a lot more pieces of the lore were added, so much so that there were these death minigames. Whenever you died, there was a chance where you would play this Atari-based minigame. This minigame would actually kind of serve to expand the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's. It sucked that it was behind deaths, but it was a way to keep people playing, to experience everything behind it. And yeah, that's what happens when you run out of power, by the way, to get back to FNAF 1 real quick. Yeah, it shuts down, and it's scary. I will admit, I also like the design of the puppet. It's very simplistic, but it is scary for what it is. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot added. There was the concoction of Mangle, this abomination of an animatronic. There were the toy animatronics, which this was the only game they appeared in, unless you count Ultimate Custom Night. But yeah, people still liked FNAF 2 enough, and that's when we got Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Again, there were teaser images of this weird, rotten rabbit animatronic. There were all these other hints of animatronics. Then the game came out, and one thing Scott did a lot was release the games early. FNAF 2 released early. FNAF 3 released early. FNAF 4 released early. I know what happens there, but we'll get to there. Let's first go over FNAF 3. It's set years after FNAF 1. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is pretty much this historic horror tale. It's no longer there, so this amusement park decided to recreate it in a special horror attraction. And one night, they found a real animatronic in a run-down version of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. This animatronic would become to know as Springtrap. Now, Springtrap was special. Springtrap was the only real animatronic that could cause a game over. If he made it to your office, that was it. You're done. Game over, bud. The other animatronics are known as Phantom animatronics. Phantom Chica, Phantom Freddy, Phantom Puppet. And they didn't kill you, but they did jump scare you and impair your progress. By that I mean they hurt your systems, because somehow the building in FNAF 3 is worse condition than FNAF 1's location. The ventilations could run down, meaning you're hallucinating the phantoms. The video cameras could run down, meaning you can't see Springtrap or anyone for that matter. The audio could run down, and you need the audio in order to distract Springtrap from getting into your office. Now, that kind of sounds simple, but it's also not, because you have to keep track of all the systems, because yeah, they will fail on you, and when they do, you have to reboot them, and that takes time. Time for Springtrap to be able to give you the ultimate hello hi. Yeah, FNAF 3 is actually known to be the least scary FNAF game. Mainly because it's just jump scare the game. That could go for the whole series, but FNAF 3 is really known to be jump scare central. And since most of the jump scares don't kill you, it annoyed a lot of people. FNAF 3 is often one of the ones to be the least favorite for the community. But once again, FNAF 3 had its lore, and yeah. So first off, there were these special minigames, and these minigames actually helped you to get the true ending. And yes, there's a true ending to this game. Basically, had you do these hidden commands, and when you do, you're given a special minigame. Now, in one of the minigames, you find this birthday cake. So, in each night after night 1, you have to give 5 kids their cake. If you manage to give the cake in all 5, well, I think it's 6, but in all the minigames, you then unlock the true ending once you complete night 5. And you would get hints for this minigame, by the way, through the end night cutscenes. When you make it to 6 AM, you're given these Atari-based cutscenes, and they themselves tell a little story. Purple Guy from the last game is taking down the animatronics. Turns out because these animatronics are possessed by the children Purple Guy killed. So I guess in a desperate way to forget his past, he decides to destroy the animatronics, hoping to release the spirits and end his suffering. However, the kids won't let that happen, and so they surround Purple Guy in this admittedly creepy way. And so, in a desperate attempt, Purple Guy jumps into a suit. And this is a special suit called the Springlock Suit. Basically, it's a suit that's an animatronic, but you can still wear it. Unfortunately, when it gets wet, it malfunctions, and it malfunctions with Purple Guy in there, leading to his death. However, it's not an easy death, because Purple Guy then is forced to possess the Springlock Suit, which would be known as Springtrap. So, yeah, this serial killer is in a rabbit outfit. Out of context, that sounds messed up. And, yeah, again, FNAF 3 is considered one of the weaker FNAF games. It still has a few things good about it. Like, I honestly do like getting the true ending and releasing the kids' spirits. That's honestly kind of nice. Even if a little cryptic, unless you know exactly where to look during the end night cutscenes. And I really like Springtrap. Springtrap is honestly one of my favorite animatronics. Not because Purple Guy's in it, but because it's run down, it's all decayed, and it's just creepy. If I'm gonna be honest. And FNAF 3, to many people, would be considered the last game. Unfortunately not, since I mentioned FNAF 4. FNAF 4 was teased as the final chapter. FNAF 4 would be the end-all, be-all of the franchise. And so a lot of hype was behind it. But being teased were these really messed up versions of everyone. Like, good lord! Like, the Nightmare animatronics are some of the creepiest based on design alone. I know some people will think they're, what's the word I'm looking for? Overdone. Because, yeah, look at them. But there is a reason for that. FNAF 4, you're in a bedroom playing as a kid. Right around to be, I think, an 8-year-old kid. And, unfortunately, he's kind of traumatized by everything related to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And of course, when you're a bit scared of the animatronics, guess what? That's exactly what they would look like in your eyes. So FNAF 4 is actually considered to be the scariest FNAF game, if you can believe that. But it's only because in the past games, you might have found a solution to make things easier. Not so much here, because you have to use the audio to know if you're safe. You'll hear the breathing of the animatronics. You'll see and hear all these things in order to keep them out of your room. And of course, if you mess up while listening closely, those jump scares do get you. In fact, FNAF 4 has the scariest jump scare noise out of all of them. I will stick to that because when I was playing with my friend, we got scared by Nightmare Bonnie. And apparently, the jump scare was so loud, I jumped right out of the couch I was sitting on and hit my head on the floor. Yeah, that was not fun. That was not fun at all. I did not touch FNAF 4 after that. But I had to persevere because FNAF 4 had its lore. Before I get to that though, there was one neat thing about FNAF 4. And it was this plush trap minigame. Basically, you had to wait for plush trap to get near the X. If you got plush trap to sit on the X, you actually skipped 2 hours of gameplay. So instead of going from 12 to 6, you would go from 2 to 6. That was actually a blessing for the game itself, especially around Night 5. Because Night 5 actually has a boss fight. For lack of a better word. There's only one animatronic, but it is one of the hardest animatronics in the series, using all the tricks the other animatronics had. Hiding in the closet, like Nightmare Foxy, hiding in the doors, like Nightmare Bonnie and Nightmare Chica, spawning little demons on the bed, like Nightmare Freddy. There was a lot you had to handle, and that was all one animatronic. But back to that lore. FNAF 4 continued the story. You're the kid of this worker at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. I think confirmed at this point that his father was Purple Guy. Unfortunately, his brother was a major jerk and pretty much helped traumatize this kid to be scared of everything to do with the animatronics. And the game ends with the brother bullying the kid so much and putting his head inside the animatronic that the animatronic malfunctions and crunches his head. Yeah, the kid's basically long gone. And it was messed up to watch, man. It might have been pixels, but you could feel the crunch when the animatronic pretty much squeezed the kid's head. And the lore didn't stop there because the kid had an imaginary friend that was basically helping him survive in his eyes. And yeah, that led to Night 6's ending, and oh, that still gets me. Like the music, I Will Put You Back Together. It was honestly rather sweet. But then came Night 7, and the infamous locked box, where apparently that one box holds the secret to the entire series. But Scott was so disappointed that apparently no one got the true story of FNAF 4, he said it would be locked forever. And to be honest, people are still looking for those answers to this day. At least I think they are. Yeah, FNAF got really complex because you had all these details scattered across 4 games. And it only got worse. Because Scott then made a game called Fnaf World. And I know what people think of Fnaf World. What the heck is that? Well, Fnaf World was a spin-off. An RPG spin-off. The animatronics were your party. And you basically had to battle these malevolent forces in order to save your world from a mysterious threat. It's a very, very simple RPG. And this was another game Scott released early, and it really suffered because of it. FNAF World was the most mixed game of the franchise, more so than FNAF 3, because, well, no one really knew what to think of it. Like, some players were able to push through, but others felt like it wasn't finished. This actually got to Scott so much that he offered refunds to anyone who wasn't satisfied with the game. He pulled Fnaf World off of Steam and recreated it on Game Jolt for free. In fact, I believe it's still on Game Jolt, where the most recent game is available to download for free. I know this because I actually did a post commentary with my friend a long time ago, where we commentated over Fnaf World. Yeah, that's how much Scott felt fans were hurt by it. It was honestly kind of sweet what Scott did. Like, he obviously could have kept the money, but no, he offered to give the money from Fnaf World back. And he uploaded Fnaf World recreated for free. That was pretty sweet. But that's not really the horror side of FNAF, except for one thing. In the most recent update, there was one last cutscene where the maker of the world was threatened by this dark figure, like this girl robot, who killed the guy. And that kind of teased into the next FNAF game. Despite FNAF 4 saying it's the final chapter, the series actually continued, which was known as Sister Location. Again, people were excited for this one, and Scott actually took time to make sure it was a great game. The difference between FNAF 4 and Sister Location was 1 year. Yeah, 1 year. And Scott put a lot of effort into Sister Location. Sorry. It is the most linear FNAF game. By that I mean it's a story. There's an actual story being played from the first night to the 5th night. Each night had a different minigame to play. You know, it changed each night to make it a different experience. You know, you weren't just stuck in the office or a bedroom the entire time. You were going around the entire base, because you're basically this mechanic for this animatronic place where you can send the animatronics and party supplies to rent. But these animatronics were experimented on. Not experimented on, but if they didn't obey you, they were shocked. And the animatronics had so much of it that they decided to plan this breakout. And this breakout is happening in the shadows all 5 nights, until it led to the final night, where you are put into this mechanical room, and there's this figure with all these wires, and it's all these animatronics combined, and they decide to scoop out your skeleton, scoop out your intestines, and basically wear your skin as a costume so they can escape the building. It's messed up. Those purple eyes still get me, man. It's messed up. But yeah, again, this game has a lot of lore behind it. More so because the lore was also in your face this time. So you had to worry about the story of the game and the story of every hidden detail. And there were hidden details in this game. From a secret 8-bit minigame to a recreation of the FNAF system with the amalgamated animatronic that's known as Ennard. There was a lot to it, and people were honestly impressed with this game. People loved it as much as FNAF 1. They felt like it was the next best step for the series. You know, to kind of keep what FNAF was known for, but change up the formula. Because, keep in mind, the same office/bedroom gameplay style was kept for 4 games straight. You honestly get fatigued of that after a while. And of course, the new animatronics, including Baby, were really cool to people. My favorite, of course, being Ennard. I mean, look at that thing. That is just really cool. But yeah, and it didn't stop there. After FNAF 5, well, there wasn't really much after FNAF 5, but all of a sudden Scott put this 8-bit Freddy game on Steam for free, like out of the blue. People would play it, And then it was revealed it was Fnaf 6, which is known as Pizzeria Simulator. This was a different game that I watched people play. I didn't play it myself. But here's how it works. You're pretty much the owner of this sister location where you designed a pizzeria. And you're actually finding these animatronics that, if they weren't good, you know, you have to keep. There were 3 parts of the game. First was the, I call it the interview section, where you go through this checklist to make sure the scalp animatronics are good. If you manage to do it correctly, you moved on. But if not, those animatronics jump scared you, and you would have to try again after a night of gameplay. You have to do all the scalp animatronics in order to get the good ending. I'll talk about that in a minute. The next part is the, well, Pizzeria Simulator, where you use the coins you earned in gameplay to upgrade your pizzeria. You know, make it better. You got all these cute little mini games. You could get all these special animatronics, and if you didn't do good with it, you would get sued. There is a game where you actually have to go through lawsuits, and it's honestly hilarious to go through that. Although, let's be honest, I think everyone's favorite minigame was the ball pit, because every time you failed, anyway. The third part was this weird office simulator, where, again, you're stuck at this one location, but instead of surviving from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., you had to do all these tasks. If you manage to complete the tasks without getting jump scared, well, you win. You get to move on. Again, it was kind of similar, but it shook up the formula. But then you get to the ending, where it turns out bringing in the scalp animatronics was the big plan of the big boss, one of the original creators of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, to basically to end the suffering, to end the tragic history, getting rid of the serial killer, setting all the other spirits free. And I don't know why, it is such a heartfelt scene, if only because you know this is technically where the story would truly end. This would be the definitive ending. And yeah, it was a pretty cool scene to watch. But that wasn't quite it. Because after a while, a game suddenly came up called called VR Help Wanted, which was a virtual reality. Well, here's how it goes. Help Wanted, you're basically this game tester. Apparently, all the events from FNAF 1 to 6 were created falsely. It was to spread these theories about the pizzeria and decredit the history of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. So much so that the creator of the game is blacklisted amongst Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I find it really hilarious that Scott actually managed to put himself in the lore. So you're basically testing this game, which is a recreation of FNAF 1 through 3, and all these other special games. But little did you know that if you manage to find these tapes, you actually started to bring back an entity, which was Purple Guy in a rabbit suit. It was basically this giant robot rabbit that held the spirit of Purple Guy, the serial killer. And if you went far enough in, you actually helped him escape. And so, Purple Guy's reign of terror continued once again. It was really, really weird, but it was also kind of a full-blown remake of FNAF 1 through 3, because the office you're seeing right now, that's recreated in 3D. FNAF 2, also recreated in 3D. FNAF 3, same thing. And it was honestly really cool to take a look at, because, yeah, these are still images, but man, like, you could see how far Scott was able to take his series based on Help Wanted alone. Especially compared to the previous game, which I actually forgot to mention until now, Ultimate Custom Night, where it's the same Custom Night of Night 7, but with all the animatronics. And every time you completed a special challenge they gave you, you got more lore, which kind of tells what happened to a purple guy, since his spirit was technically in those Scout animatronics, but was destroyed. It turned out the spirits of the children were not done with them, and so in Ultimate Custom Night, you're playing as Purple Guy, as the souls of the children tortured you for eternity. That is honestly an amazing concept, because there is no clear you win scenario. There is the final cutscene showing who the mastermind of this was, but yeah, you continue through this. This is your living hell. Considering how the franchise started, that's kind of a messed up way to end it. But yeah, at the point of Help Wanted, FNAF blew up in popularity. There was these Lego sets of the entire FNAF franchise. There were these action figures where if you collected them all, you were able to build a special one. There were these Five Nights at Freddy's plushies. Scholastic had a book series for Five Nights at Freddy's. It was this book trilogy. There were special guides and all these cool fact books. Again, there was a movie, or at least there should be a movie. I don't know if the progress of that, but there is a major Hollywood picture about Five Nights at Freddy's being made. From how it started from a failed mixed project to now is incredible. So much so when the PlayStation 5 was announced, one of the games that was advertised was the latest FNAF game at the time, Security Breach. I think it's called Security Breach. I'll have to look back when I edit it. Hopefully I'm right. I know a lot of people discredit this series, calling it the jump scare haven, but you kind of can't deny the legacy this has. I know indie horror games aren't a major step forward. I think in 2010 there was Amnesia: The Dark Descent, but FNAF really helped people realize that anyone from any scenario can achieve the success that Scott had. Yeah, it takes a while, but you can do it. Oh, hi Freddy. How you doing? Oh yeah, I had to show this. This was the one death I had for my run of nights 1 through 5. And yeah, look at that. You're just staring at nothing. Oh, I'm getting that Freddy hug. I'm getting the bear hug of a lifetime. I'm getting love. Oh, and by the way, when I meant that they put you in a suit, I wasn't kidding, because here comes the game over screen. Yeah, those are your eyeballs. Yikes. But, yeah, this series, it's right up there with other indie games like Undertale and Shovel Knight, where when you think of indie games, Five Nights at Freddy's is right there. You know, the references people have made all across YouTube and throughout the games. This series got to a lot of people. Even if you didn't play it, one of the major reasons you stuck around with Five Nights at Freddy's, which is actually the reason that I stuck around, was the lore. And it is a pretty extensive lore, but it is actually a really great story. You had to connect the pieces, of course, or cheat and look up the wiki. But even that was entertaining. Like all the theories on this game alone. I remember watching videos from Game Theory, Rizbowski, Dawko, 8-Bit Ryan, Treesicle. Oh my goodness, I remember that name. Wow. Yeah, they made FNAF videos, and they were really cool to watch because you got all these different interpretations. You had no idea what was going to happen, but these people helped you to get a good idea, and they had some pretty good ideas. Some of them that were actually an authentic thing in the franchise. And beyond the theories, I think back to how to make Five Nights at Freddy's not scary. You know, pizza! I can't do it because, you know, it's late at night and I can't scream. But that, Random Encounters Fnaf the Musical, that is such a great series of videos. I highly recommend watching it. Random Encounters themselves are an amazing YouTube channel. Shout out to them. They are really cool people. But, oh man. It's incredible to think how far this one series has come. And if I can love Five Nights at Freddy's for anything, it's for keeping me invested in the lore. Playing the games? No. I can only play Night 1. I can only play FNAF 1 from beginning to technical end. The other games, I kind of chicken out. But keeping up with the story? Oh, I was all over that, and that was the reason I stuck around. Nowadays, FNAF isn't the juggernaut it was. It technically still is, but it's not really talked about as much anymore. It was talked over YouTube for the longest time, especially 2014 to 2016. You couldn't escape without finding a FNAF video in your recommendations. Nowadays you don't really get that as much unless you look it up. But there are still people who enjoy this series. And I have no idea how long it's going to keep going. But Scott Cawthon, and of course I mentioned Scott Cawthon, but I know people are going to bring up when people found out he was a Republican, and a lot of people wanted to back out of the series because of it. I just had respect for him for Five Nights at Freddy's. You know, I don't think of the politics when it comes to FNAF. I think of how he turned a criticism into a major success. Anyone can do it. You know, when you make mistakes, understand what people are saying. You know, if you spilled a pitcher of milk because you're not holding it with two hands, if you hold it with two hands, you're doing a great thing. And you know, it might not be easy for you to listen to criticisms, but when you take some of them to heart and you can improve on them, you can make amazing things. And beyond that, there's so many fan games of Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, so many of them. I'm looking at some of them right now, like Five Nights at Treasure Island. There was this SpongeBob Five Nights at Freddy's game. There was an RPG trilogy someone made for FNAF, but it is an adult. It is very much an adult FNAF fan game. I'm not saying its name. That's how adult it is. I mean, Markiplier was able to play Five Nights at Freddy's with Jack Black. And I know it wasn't advertisement for Goosebumps at the time, but I find it amazing that Markiplier and Jack Black were in the same room playing this series about animatronic animals. Oh, that's so... It's so different, man. It's like, wow. Oh, good. It is called Security Breach. I'm looking at the gameplay trailer for FNAF Security Breach. Security Breach. What a great way to get near the end of a retrospective. But yeah, I understand that this retrospective isn't exactly what people are looking for. This is my first time really trying a retrospective, but this was one of the few ways I felt like I could talk about Five Nights at Freddy's without really talking about the games themselves. You know, just giving people an idea of why I really like this series. But yeah, it really is different, isn't it? I guess to kind of go over, I guess my major gripe is the fact that it's jump scare haven. If you hate jump scares and flashing lights, you're not gonna like this game. This series rather. I did put that little warning at the beginning of the video, and hopefully, if you don't like the flashing lights and you're watching this video, I hope you're doing something like in the background, like you have a have an internet window up in front of you, and you're just listening to this, like brain scratch commentaries. But yeah, the jump scares are the major problem, and unfortunately, Five Nights at Freddy's has that against it too, where it's just the jump scares. People hate the jump scares. It's one of the reasons people don't like FNAF 3. But I think once you get past the jump scares and the flashing lights, you find a game with really interesting and deep lore, and yeah, some of the games might end up being some of your favorite horror games. I don't know. Possibly. I mean, it's no Resident Evil 7 or Amnesia: The Dark Descent, but I think people can still have an interesting time with Five Nights at Freddy's. Again, it's one of those series where I'll be surprised if nobody's, like, heard of it. If you don't want to play it, I completely understand that, too. But if you are, for whatever reason, interested in the lore, take a look at videos where they explain the lore, or maybe even read up on the Wikipedia. It's pretty good stuff. Oh, and here comes my victory of Five Nights at Freddy's 1. This was clutch. To talk about the video you're seeing real quick. This was clutch, okay? It's 5 a.m. and I just ran out of power. Now, Freddy can either come to the door slowly or quickly. Luckily, he took his time. And also, the song he plays is also different. You know, will he do a quick cut or will he play an extended version? All of that takes into effect because I think the time of each night is about 9 minutes. If you're able to get past the 9 minutes, even on this screen, you win the game. And spoiler alert, that's exactly what happened to me. I am very fortunate that was the case because I was ready to about quit the game at that point. But there it is. There's 6 a.m. I managed to do it. Oh, man. Five Nights at Freddy's. I have a love-hate relationship with you. But, in any case, let's go over my opinions of the games real quick. FNAF 1, I still love. It's my favorite game. FNAF 2, I have a hard time understanding all the controls and all that. Honestly, there's a lot to worry about with FNAF 2. FNAF 3, honestly think it's boring. The jump scares just, they all get to you at some point. To the point where you're no longer scared of the game, so I feel like it fails in that department. FNAF 4 is the scariest game. I will never touch it for the rest of my life. Sister Location, I really like how they changed the pace of the games. I really like the little story they have in between there. And the soap opera cutscenes, they are a guilty pleasure. They are a guilty pleasure to the extreme. Pizzeria Simulator, I like the fact that you can make your own pizzeria, and the little bear jumping in the ball pit will never be not charming to me. Ultimate Custom Night, cool concept, not my kind of game, but that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I had to start another recording class. I was so close to. You probably heard that cut there. VR Help Wanted, really cool remake and kind of update to where this series could go. And I'm kind of excited to see where Security Breach goes. I don't think I'm going to play it, but I will watch people play it. I hope it's going to be great from what I'm saying. I love the Five Nights at Freddy's story. I know it's not the most in-depth, but I know some people outright hate the FNAF storyline. I enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. But yeah, that's really all I got to say. I have no idea where this series is going to go after Security Breach, but for the legacy it has, I'll always have a place deep in my heart for Five Nights at Freddy's, because of how it's a really great underdog success story. Yeah. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. I might do a retrospective like this in the future, depending on what topic it'll be. But in any case, I'm actually not going to have an intro this time. This is where we're going to cut off. Please stay safe, everybody. Take care. And October has just begun. Happy Halloween if you happen to watch this during Halloween. And if you're not watching this during Halloween, happy Halloween, everyone. Anyway. Take care.